UFC 298 Volkanovski versus Topuria takes place in only a matter of hours, and I'm going to go through my last minute detailed prediction and breakdown for every single fight on the card, starting with the early prelims, ending with the main event. I'm not just saying who I believe is going to win and why. I'm trying to predict how every single minute of the fight is going to go, what limb will be used for a KO blow, what round that will happen in, what submission will be achieved, if there is going to be a submission, and just overall what the scorecards are going to read, and how the fight is going to play out start to finish. I'm putting it all on the line, starting with the early prelim opener of Andrea Lee versus Miranda Maverick. I'm going to go with Miranda Maverick here, and I think she's going to win it by robbery decision. I'm going all on the line here. I'm predicting my own pick to win by robbery decision, and the reason why is this. I think Miranda Maverick will be out-damaged on the feet by Andrea Lee, but control time in women's MMA, for some reason, really means something to the judges. They don't look at damage. Maybe there's not a lot of damage to score on a lot of the time, but they really often just give it to the one that got a bit of control time, unless Macy Barber is the person on the receiving end of the control time, then they don't. But they want Miranda Maverick to win, so I think they're just going to give it to her. Even though Andrea Lee might be outlanding her on the feet a little bit, I think at the end of round 1, 2, and 3, we're going to see Miranda Maverick get her takedown, about a minute left to go, minute and a half left on the clock of each round, and I think she's going to get some control time, land a couple of arm punches, and that's going to be enough for the judges to say, well, who cares if Andrea Lee landed a couple more on the feet? Let's just go Miranda Maverick. So I'm going to go Miranda Maverick, 29-28 decision. We move on. Up the card, Oban Elliott versus Val Woodburn. I'm going to say decision again. I'm going to say 29-27. Unanimous decision for Oban Elliott. I think he's going to lose the first round to Val Woodburn. I think Val Woodburn is going to be throwing heat early on. Very patient start from both. Oban Elliott throwing some kicks at the arms and the head and the body. I just farted. Val Woodburn landing some punches on the shoulder of Oban, on the side of the head. Nothing landing too clean, but enough to shake Oban Elliott up a little bit and be like, whoa, I'm in a fight right now. And I think after a couple of those exchanges where Val Woodburn has a bit more power, I think we're going to see him sort of go after Oban Elliott. Like, he's going to see that Oban's a little shocked by the power. Maybe it bounced off the shoulder. Think he's got him a little bit hurt and then chase after him and swing some big shots. But Oban stays alive and clinches up against the cage and turns it around and stuff like that. So I think Oban Elliott's going to survive by doing that. Back up against the cage in the first round. Val Woodburn swinging. Oban gets over-unders and they clinch up with each other. That's how I think the first round's going to go. So Val Woodburn. Round 2 and 3, we're going to see Val Woodburn looking to do the same thing. Oban being a bit better with his kicks at range. But I think this time Oban towards the second half of the round is going to do a lot better with his clinch. So I think once he gets the clinch on Val Woodburn, they'll start muscling around a little bit. Val Woodburn sort of emptied the clip a little bit in round 1, throwing a bunch of big shots, trying to get Oban Elliott out of there. And Oban's now going to be working knees to the body in the clinch, making Val Woodburn defend takedowns. Maybe Oban gets a takedown at the end of round 2, but he's out-hustled Val Woodburn in that round. Round 3, I think we're going to start to see Val Woodburn slow down. He maybe has a flurry at the start of round 3. Oban gets a takedown. He has to work his way back up. Val Woodburn, this is. Oban's starting to push him up against the cage, knee him to the body, punch him in the head, separate, land some good shots, move out the way of Woodburn's counters. He's looking way fresher in the third round, pushing a great pace. Get some takedowns towards the halfway point of the third, and then starts beating up Val Woodburn on the ground. I can see a crucifix position for Oban Elliott here, and I think he's not going to get a finish because I think Val Woodburn's strong enough to escape some positions, but I think Oban Elliott's going to get a 10-8 in the third, so I'm going to say 29-27 with a 10-8 round in the third for Oban Elliott. We move on. Josh Quinlan versus Danny Barlow. Now, the way I see this going is a KO for Danny Barlow. I think a lot of people have that pick, but I see this happening as there's different ways people get KO'd, and you've got to wonder why they get KO'd. Why is Josh Quinlan going to lose this fight? I don't think he's going to lose it because he's way slower and way less athletic than Danny Barlow, and worse technically, and doesn't have a great chin. That would make me pick Danny Barlow round 1 KO in the first 2 minutes. I think the reason why Josh Quinlan will lose this by KO is because he's just not as good as Danny Barlow. That is where I think is going to be a problem. And he's coming off a loss. Mind games come into this as well. So it's not going to be that he's so much slower. It's not going to be that he doesn't have a good chin and he's so bad that he gets steamrolled in round 1. It's going to be that Danny Barlow's going to be in full control of this fight, landing shots on the outside, outstriking Josh Quinlan with a 7-inch reach advantage over Josh Quinlan, the T-Rex himself. And I think Josh Quinlan's going to be annoyed, frustrated, can't do anything, trying to get it back for himself. Danny Barlow lands a KO blow in round 2. I think Quinlan's going to be annoyed, behind, doesn't want to lose again, 2 in a row. Goes for it in round 2, scraps technique out the window, and then gets KO'd. So I'm going to say round 2 KO for Danny Barlow. Zhang Mingyang versus Brendson Ribeiro. I'm going to say Brendson Ribeiro by KO. I think he's going to KO Zhang Mingyang in a scrap. I think he's going to do it with his back on the cage. I think Mingyang Zhang's going to be kicking him at range, low kicks and stuff, and Ribeiro's going to be whiffing some big punches. I think Mingyang Zhang is going to have success with hooks. Ribeiro's going to have success with straight punches. So both guys are going to have moments on the feet early on. This is going to be a round 1 KO as well, by the way. But I think Ribeiro's going to be getting his jab going. That's what I think is going to happen. He's going to be getting his jab going on Mingyang Zhang. Zhang landing some body kicks and low kicks, and both guys are, but Zhang landing more of the kicks. Ribeiro getting his jab going here and there, whiffing on some right hands and maybe getting countered by a left hook or something by Zhang Mingyang. And then Mingyang Zhang's going to have him up against the cage, swinging. I think his eye is going to be a little bit swollen up from like a jab of Ribeiro or a shot that lands earlier on. And then we're going to see Ribeiro catch him as he goes for a hook. I think it's going to be a very... I can't think of the KO that I'm thinking of here. But I think it's going to be like a... Not a Pavlovich versus Aspinall KO. Or an Aspinall versus Pavlovich. It's going to... But similar. Straight right hand from Brendson Ribeiro. Long, straight right hand with his back on the cage. Sort of like a Trevin Giles, Dricus Duplessis type situation. Mingyang Zhang. Why did they switch the names around? Like, just put it as it's said. Why switch it? I don't get that. Left hook. He's going to be going for a left hook. He's going to get beaten with a straight right hand. I think that's where Ribeiro's going to put him away. We move on. Up the card. Whoa, cancellations. Oh, yeah, Marcos Rodriguez. Give me a second. The billion-dollar company doesn't have the schedule up to date, so I'm going to have to check if this is right. Because it's only a billion-dollar company. We can't expect too much from them. Come on now. Okay, we're good. Rinya Nakamura versus Carlos Vera. I'm going Rinya Nakamura submission or crucifix TKO in round 1. I think this is where we're going to see the difference in Rinya Nakamura's finishing ability. I'm hoping that's what he's been working on since his time off, because that's the one thing that he seems to have a problem with, is picking a finish. And I think he's going to get down Carlos Vera early, land some good shots on the feet early on, get some respect, shoot a takedown, slam down Carlos Vera, get into the crucifix position, and I think he's going to get a crucifix TKO. I think his cornermen will be telling him, don't chase a sub, don't chase this, just get the punches out there. This is early, you're dry, you're in a crucifix position. I think we're going to see a crucifix TKO from Rinya Nakamura over old man Carlos Vera that shouldn't be in the fucking UFC. We move on, but he's American, so they just fucking bring him in anyway. Fucking stupid company. Marcos Rogerio de Lima versus Junior Tafa, the brother of Justin Tafa. I think this is an easier fight for Marcos Rogerio de Lima. Obviously, the day notice is a big reason for that as well. But also just because Junior Tafa goes tit for tat, and he's not the one-punch snoozer that Justin Tafa is. You know what I mean? He goes tit for tat a bit. I also think he's a little bit easier to topple over. I think technically he has better takedown defense than Justin Tafa. But Justin Tafa's stronger at the hips, top heavy. He's got good weight when he wants to sprawl. Similar to Tuivasa in a way. So you've got to really technically wrestle him, if you know what I'm saying. You can't muscle him over as you can other fighters. But I think Junior Tafa, harder to technically wrestle with, but easier to muscle over. Even though both are bad at wrestling. I'm not saying Junior Tafa has some wizard on takedown defense. I'm just saying this is the minor differences that I see. So I think Marcos Rogerio de Lima's double leg is going to work here. You know what I mean? He's not going to have to chain wrestle. I think he's going to be able to shoot a double leg, get down Junior Tafa while Tafa's like punching at the side of his head and shit. And then once he ends up on top, I think it's going to be a long night for Junior Tafa. And I reckon Marcos Rogerio de Lima wins an arm triangle submission here. I just don't see him being ready on a day's notice to deal with Marcos Rogerio de Lima, who's one of the better unranked UFC heavyweights at the end of the day. He is. He's got good timing on the feet, good low kicks at range. So does Tafa have good kicks. More of a kickboxer out of the two of the brothers. Justin Tafa's more of a boxer. But I am going to go Marcos getting the takedown and getting the sub. We move on. Up the card, Amanda Lemos versus Mackenzie Dern. I'm going with Amanda Lemos by TKO in round 1. I think Mackenzie done shit. I think she's mid. I don't know why people glaze so hard. Any woman that size, 5'2", can have an ass. Either way, though, it's all good. This isn't a hatred-based thing. I'm joking. No, Amanda Lemos is going to win. Amanda Lemos is going to win. She's called Amanda. That's code name. Doctors give it to Brazilian women when they come out and they're not sure what they are. It's Amanda. In that way, they can say, in retrospect, you said my baby was a man. And then he was like, no, I said it should be called Amanda. You know what I mean? But then if they say, you said my baby should be a woman, they can go, I said it's Amanda. You know what I mean? It's like a catch-22 or whatever they call it. You know what I mean? They just sort of, it's an insurance policy when they're not sure what it is. But Amanda Lemos is going to win. TKO, round 1, brutal. Hooks, back, put down Mackenzie Dern, couple knockdowns, put her away. Easy. We move on. Up the card, Anthony Hernandez versus Roman Kopylov. I think this is going to be a fight where 1, Anthony Hernandez wins by 3rd round finish. I'm confident on that. But I think this is going to be a fight where, because I do respect Roman Kopylov, I think this is going to be a fight where it's like there's moments where Kopylov has these moments. Obviously, that's why I said moments. But there's going to be moments where Kopylov's like, oh, he's going to get him. Oh, you got taken down again. I mean, it's going to be like that type of fight where it's like, fuck, dude. You know, as much as I love Kopylov and I want him to win this fight because I'm a Roman Kopylov enjoyer and only the most based MMA fans are. But Anthony Hernandez, I think he's just going to be relentless. I think in the first round, he's going to be on the back foot. That's what I think he's going to do. I think if you think he's going to charge forward like he normally does, I don't know if he will. I think he's going to be on the back foot. I think he's going to be patient and he's going to find a good entry on Roman Kopylov, who I don't think is going to be looking to throw knees up the middle. I think Kopylov's going to be looking for body shots, kicks to the body at range. I think that will lead to Hernandez catching one of them and then ending up on top of Kopylov rather than having to force a takedown early. Once he gets that initial takedown from a catch or a good reactive shot, then he's going to start chaining the wrestling. Once he gets the initial one, not from the get-go just charging forward, panicking for a takedown. I think he's good enough on the feet to stay calm. Listen, if Josh Fremd is good enough on the feet to survive till what, round 2, round 3? Some of these other guys till round 3 that Roman Kopylov has fought. I think Hernandez can survive a few minutes to catch a takedown, find a takedown. Then he's going to start chaining the wrestling. And we're going to have moments where Kopylov knees him to the body and elbows in the clinch and some shots flurry up against the cage. And it's like, oh, Kopylov's got him. Hernandez has the body lock. Hernandez is dragging him down again in round 2. Hernandez is really starting to drag him around here. Oh, no, Kopylov, please escape this crucifix. Okay, he's out. But here's Hernandez still on his back, still punching. I think it's going to be a bad one for Kopylov. So I'm going to go 3rd round TKO Anthony Hernandez. Wrist control, side on the back, punching. Kopylov's exhausted. I'm going to go Hernandez wins. We move on. Up the card, Merab Dvalishvili versus Henry Cejudo. I'm going to go with Merab. Boring shit decision. And all that funniness online is going to start going, no one's going to care about that real quick is all I'm going to say. Okay? People are going to immediately be like, fuck this guy again. Which I'll be in favor of. Fucking beating my Peter Yan. Either way. Beating my Peter Yan is sus as fuck. I don't know why I said that. That sounds like I'm fucking slang for jerking off. Merab Dvalishvili versus Henry Cejudo. My voice is fucked. I don't know why. Why is everything sus that's happening? Merab. Fuck Merab, dude. Let's just clear the air. Fuck Merab. I think he's going to beat Cejudo, though. I think round 1, he's going to start landing shots on Cejudo. On the feet. I think that's what's going to happen. I think he's going to land big shots on Cejudo. And it's going to be like, oh, Merab caught him in round 1 with like a good punch. And he's going to be like, not knowing what to do. Brother, a hurt opponent. I've never seen this before. You know, and he starts charging forward. Henry Cejudo's like, whoa, I got clipped by Merab. You know what I mean? This is a weird, I was expecting a takedown. I was throwing a knee up the middle on one leg, and Merab tagged me with a right hand. I think that's going to be a theme in round 1. And then once that happens, and Merab gets some respect on the feet, then he's going to be shooting for takedowns. Getting a double leg. I don't know if he'll be getting a double leg. I think he'll be dragging Cejudo. That's what I think he'll be doing, dragging. Cejudo might chuck a couple Granby rolls in there. Good takedown defense. But I just don't think he'll be doing much with defending the takedowns. There were so many moments in the Aljo fight, and Merab's going to utilize this as well by being on his knees, where Cejudo could have made something happen. Knees to the body on the ground, punches to the body, punches to the head on the ground. And he just didn't do anything but stop the takedown. So I think there's going to be stuff like that where he does stop the takedown. But I think it's just going to be Merab getting a body lock, inbred grip strength. You can't break it. I don't care about your Olympic medal. Merab's kneeing him in the thigh for the next 2 rounds. Hopefully that don't happen. But I think, first of all, he's going to hurt Cejudo on the feet. And then he's going to shoot the takedowns for the rest of the fight. So I'm going to say 30-27 Merab. But one judge gives 29-28 because they really don't want Merab around. We move on. Geoff Neal versus Ian Garry. I'm going to go Geoff Neal round 2 KO is what I'm going to go with here. I think he's going to drop or wobble Ian Garry at the end of the first and then put him away in the second. And I'm pretty confident in that. And it's not a hatred-based pick. I've hated Ian Garry for quite some time, okay? And I've picked him to win his fights. I think Geoff Neal was a bit of a step up for him. I know the Neal Magny fight is the Neal Magny fight, but at the end of the day, if you can low kick at range, you can beat Neal Magny. Different fight for people that are on the inside against him, you know what I'm saying? But Ian Garry, the problem I have with him, and I think the problem that will be there in this fight is he will throw kicks, but Geoff Neal keeps a very high guard, and I think it's risky for a taller opponent like Ian Garry, the way he throws his body kicks against a guy like Geoff Neal who can arguably take them and throw with them. You know what I mean? I think he's going to crowd his body kicks, is what I'm saying here. D-Rod doesn't have that sleeper power that Geoff Neal has. He might have some KOs, but he doesn't have the same level of power with his tucked-in hooks. D-Rod is a 1-1-2, 1-2 type guy, whereas Geoff Neal will unload hooks on the chin as you're up on one leg like he was doing against Shavkat. So I think that's going to deter Ian Garry from throwing so many kicks to the body and head at range, because I think Geoff Neal keeps a high guard, defends against a head kick, and can take the body kick and land and be dangerous. So I think Gary's going to be trying to throw leg kicks, which I don't think is going to work too well. Then I think Geoff Neal's just going to catch him on the chin, while Ian Garry's trying to dip away from a 1-2. Ian Garry's long range here, soy arms, soy ape index. He's like 6'3", apparently. I doubt it. Looks about 6'1", 6'2", but he's got a 74.5-inch reach. That's baby arms. Baby arms. Lightweights have that reach. Some lightweights do. McGregor has that reach nearly. I think that's going to get him in trouble because in his fights, you see it a lot. Song Kanan messed him up with Takashi Sato too many times. Song Kanan dropped him bad, man. Dropped him so bad. Fumbled a finish. Let's be honest. Why are you holding on to his body up against the cage? Throw punches at his head. This guy's done. Ian Garry was done at the end of round 1 against Song Kanan. He really was. Completely limp. Didn't know where he was. Scrambled to the fucking cage. Not even looking at Song Kanan. Just like, oh, fucking hell, please, no more big shots here. He was ready to be put out. And against a guy like Geoff Neal, that's going to happen. So I think he's going to catch Ian Garry, get him in some trouble. Ian Garry wobbles a little bit, like takes a funny step after he takes a punch. And everyone's like, oh, he is hurt. Geoff Neal goes after him, lands some good shots. Ian Garry laughs it off and, like beckons to the crowd. I'm still here. I still got it. This type of shit. Round 2, I think it's going to be that lazy right hand, not coming back to his chin. 1-2, down to his waist, ready to reload another one. Bang. Left hook from Geoff Neal lands on the chin. Boing. Down goes Ian Garry. Geoff Neal gets the job done by TKO. I think that's going to happen this card. We move on to the co-main event. Robert Whittaker versus Paulo Costa. I'm predicting a war. That's what I'm predicting. Not because it will be so back and forth all the time, but I'm telling you Costa's going to have moments. People are writing off Costa. I'm worried for Whittaker in this matchup, but I am going to pick him to win. So I'm going to say Whittaker is stinging Costa with shots at range. Stomping on his leg, teeping him to the body, stiff jabs, stiff shots, and Costa's not going to be able to jab with Whittaker. That's going to be the big problem. Costa's going to start blasting kicks into the arms of Whittaker. To the head, to the body. These are going to be catching Whittaker's elbow, and some of them landing to the body on Whittaker, and you can see that Whittaker's starting to feel it on his forearms a little bit. I think at the end of round 1, Costa's going to finally track Whittaker down and start meanly tearing into Whittaker up against the cage. Bam, 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 bam. Kick to end it. Whittaker partially blocks it, but you see him go, oh shit, dude, that kick kind of wrapped around my block. Marvin Vettori can take him, not Whittaker. And then Costa starts going for him, swinging. Whittaker still stinging him with shots, still teeping him to the body as he backs up and moving well. And he's with it, but Costa's really trying to tear into him here. Swinging at him, missing a little bit, landing here and there. Big kicks to land into the arms of Whittaker up against the cage. Then Costa's going to start to slow in round 2 and 3. We're going to see Whittaker get his teep going a bit more, sting Costa with a jab a bit more. Costa's lips like swollen up, his eyes swelling shut a little bit. Whittaker's still stinging him with the jab. Maybe Costa has another moment where he starts swinging on Whittaker, but this time Whittaker moves out of the way and Costa's doing this hand behind the back thing like, come on, why won't you stand in front of me type shit, Chris Curtis type vibes. Whittaker still stinging him with a jab. 1-2. Head kick. Costa's like, all this type of shit. Starts acting like the head kick didn't hurt him. There's going to be good moments in round 2. Then I think Whittaker's going to cruise the 3rd round against Costa, who might go all out at the end with like a wheel kick that misses and like a big head kick that gets partially blocked. But I think it's just going to be the power of Costa isn't there enough to sleep Whittaker. It might be there to hurt him, but Whittaker's footwork and recovery is enough to keep him alive. I actually think Whittaker might wobble Costa for a second with that 1-2 head kick combo. I can see that happening. So I'm going to go Whittaker. Decision 29-28. I think he'll lose the 1st round to Paulo Costa. That's the difference between Costa and Vettori, I think. Just a little bit more ability to swing. We move on. Alexander Volkanovski versus Ilia Topuria. I'm going with Ilia Topuria by not TKO anymore. I'm going with Ilia Topuria by decision. Controversial. Very close. But he wins. That's what I'm going to go with. I'm going to say that Ilia Topuria scores a 10-8 in round 1. That's what I'm going to say happens here. He scores a 10-8 in round 1. He scores a knockdown in round 2. There's a competitive round 3 where both guys are landing good shots. And then round 4 and 5, Volk's going to start to pull away. Ilia's going to start to slow down. But Volk's not going to be able to hurt him or put him away. Maybe they end up in grappling situations that Volk gets the better of. But Volk's not beating him to a 10-8. He's not dropping him. He's not badly wounding him. This is my new understanding of this fight. I thought, you know what, Ilia's going to catch him and finish him. Nah, I don't see it. Volk's recovery is too good. But he's knockdownable. Volk might not be as knockoutable as people seem to claim, but he's knockdownable. And I think that's big. And I think Volk fighting from behind is going to have trouble. He's going to have a lot of trouble because that's when he's going to start getting hurt again. And he's going to start leaving himself open. Volk's good at getting a lead and keeping it. That's what Volk's good at. But when he's behind and he starts to go offensive, that's when he gets caught by shots. So I'm going to go with Ilia Topuria. Volk's coming out there, you know, talking to him a little bit. Ilia's talking back. They're doing a bit of jab, talking back and forth. Volk's landing a couple low kicks. Ilia's trying to catch him as he goes for the low kicks. Volk's getting his boxing going. Both guys are in the clinch. Ilia's landing a good body shot on the separation. I think Ilia's going to crack him around the halfway point of round 1 with a left hook over a jab. Or whatever hook it will be. I can't even think right now. I've just gone through the whole card. Whatever hook it's going to be over Volk's jab. Hook over the jab of Volk. Volk's going to have his chin up a bit. Volk staggers down on his back foot. Gets back up immediately, but Ilia catches him again. And it's like, oh my God, is he going to finish Volk right now? Ilia's going for him. He's swinging. Ilia maybe gets a dash choke on Volk. Jumps it. Doesn't get it. Volkanovski escapes. He's back up. Whoa, that was sick. They get to the end of round 1. Ilia drops him again off balance. So it's like, oh, he's nearly finished him. And he's put him down off balance at the end of the round. That's an Ilia Topuria 10-8. Round 2, Volk's going to be trying to get his own back. I think in the early part of the round, he's going to be patient, kicking the body of Ilia, kicking the legs of Ilia. Ilia's going to be getting his jab going. It's like, oh shit, Ilia's jab's popping out there. He's landing his jab on Volk. And Volk's going to start being like, I'm 10-8 down. I need to get around here. Start going in again and then get cracked towards the end of round 2. Over the top of his jab. I think it's over the top of his jab every time. Cracked with a right hand. Volk goes down for a second. Back up. He's good. But it's not a good look for the judges. And he might have outlanded Ilia that round. But it's not a good look for the judges. And now Volk's starting to lose. 10-9 round 2. He's down 3-0 in 2 rounds. Round 3, they're going to scrap. That's where it's going to get fun. Ilia's going to be throwing heavy shots like, oh, if I land on this guy, he's going away. But the power's not going to be just there. But instead, he's going to be landing a lot more. So I think he'll be landing a lot more. Going to the body of Volk. Both guys shoot a takedown here and there and don't get it, especially Ilia not getting it, but Volk might get one that Ilia gets back up from, and Ilia then punches on the break. And I think Ilia's going to be landing good shots. Both guys are, but I think Ilia's going to be landing the better shots in round 3. A lot of Volks are going to be tappy shots, inside low kick, outside low kick at range. The numbers may read 40 to 35 in favor of Volk, or 40 to 33, but Ilia's going to be getting the crowd going, oh, Ilia landed a 1-1-2 and a left hook, right hook up against the cage, and then followed it up with a lunging hook at the end, you know? He's going to be landing the big shots to get people's attention, and Volk's going to get a cut opened in that round. Round 3, very close, but Ilia's round. 4 and 5, Volk's going to be doing his thing, landing low kicks. Ilia's starting to walk a little bit funny on his leg. You know, he's starting to slow down. Ilia's nose is bleeding. He's starting to touch at his nose a bit. You know, his lips are swollen up. Volk is starting to get his jab going. Volk outlands him in round 4. Round 5, everyone's cheering. Volk's like, yeah, Woodburn, hey, Woodburn, doing all this, like standing up, getting the crowd behind him. But he's got to get a finish. And Ilia's looking tired, but he knows all he has to do is survive round 5. He's doing good on the feet. He gives a good account for himself in the first minute and a half of round 5. Volk starts pulling ahead towards the end, gets a takedown, beats up Ilia a little bit. Not enough for a 10-8 round. People aren't going to like it because Volk finished strong, but I think Ilia's going to win it. 10-8 in the first, 10-9 in the second based on 1 knockdown, 10-8 in the first based on 2 knockdowns and a dash choke attempt, and then a third round, more damaging round for Ilia Topuria. Very close, great scrap back and forth, amazing fight. Volk fans cry about a robbery, even though it's not. Ilia Topuria wins. That's what I think happens. And they call for a rematch. Everyone's happy. See you later. Goodbye.